Welcome to this new podcast of Spanish in English. Today I'm going to address the difference between SER and ESTAR. If you have questions or comments, I'll be happy to answer all of them. Let's get started. Difficulties appear when you have to learn concepts from the new language that don't exist in your own. This is the case of SER and ESTAR, which both translate as verb to be. In this podcast, I will try to explain this difference so you get a better understanding of when to use one or when to use the other. Perhaps you've heard this explanation 1,000 times. SER is a permanent quality, while ESTAR is a temporary one. That is correct, for certain situations. For example, if we are talking about someone's insanity, we'll find these two possibilities. El hombre está loco and el hombre es loco. Both translate literally as the man is crazy. So, using the temporary versus permanent quality rule, the first sentence in which we used estar means the man is doing something crazy, but he's usually a normal guy. And the second sentence with SER means a permanent quality. This man is an insane person. He's crazy all the time. A friend of mine who was learning Spanish came up with this fun example that I always use to help my students. Think about the snow. What color is it? What happens if your dog pees on it? It won't be white any longer. So, in this case, we'll say la nieve es blanca, which is the natural color of the object and the permanent characteristic. But we'll say la nieve está amarilla, the snow is yellow, when our dog has marked his territory in it. Another good rule to remember is that estar is always related to places. In the context of locations, ser means to exist and estar means to be somewhere. So if you want to say that, for example, you are at the train station, you'll say yo estoy en la estación de trenes. Because if you say yo soy en la estación de trenes, it doesn't make sense. To us, it sounds like you're saying something like you exist at the train station. Do you think this difficulty exists only in Spanish? No, it happens in English too. For example, the difference between the verb to do and the verb to make drives Spanish speakers crazy when we're trying to learn English. We are taught to use verb to do when we're talking about actions, such as do homework, and to use make when we are creating something that didn't exist before, like making a cake. But this is not always the case, and the rule doesn't apply to all the cases. So all Spanish speakers can relate when you have this difficulty with ser and estar. Are there any more complications with these verbs? Unfortunately, yes. But explaining these complications without the context of a lesson could be very confusing. Some grammatical structures will require the use of ser, and some others will require the use of estar. And in order to learn when to use them in those cases, you'll have to advance a little bit more on your learning of Spanish. I hope you found this podcast helpful. I'd love to read and reply to all of your comments and questions, and I hope you stay tuned for my next entry very soon. If you're interested in private or group lessons via Skype, feel free to visit my website here in the comments and book a lesson. No credit cards or any other ID is needed. Just book your lesson and show up for class. I look forward to chatting with you. Thank you for listening Spanish in English. See you soon.